in Pretoria. Let's now cross live.
And those 3 provinces have had dramatic improvement. The Ramaphosa Foundation has been working in the Free State for the past 5 years, and they've formed formidable systems which really keep them on top of. So we've also realized that as much as we have to carry all the work that we do, but partnerships are very important because they have a focus area where they help us in terms of improving. We also looked at improving reading and literacy in the system. What more do we need to do? Look at assess the programs that we have, especially in the foundation phase, and identify what the difficulties are, because all those tests that we received last year point out to the fact of poor reading foundations in the system. We also looked at the synergy that we need to do with business, because with the 3-stream system, it's very important for us to begin to strengthen our partnerships with the private sector. As you are aware that we're trying to get more schools opened, with focus schools opened in different parts of the provinces. And there we need industry to be part. We're trying to follow the models that are used in developed countries, like in Germany, it's 60 technical and vocational, it's only 40 academic. In Finland, they say they find it very difficult to continue to encourage kids to do your academic subjects. Kids are going into your technical, vocational. But all of that movement requires very strong partnerships with industry. And that's what we're also looking to say, which industries are we targeting mostly, which are aligned to the economy, but which will also allow our kids to be able to pursue their studies in higher education. So we have to look at that synergy which is required by the NDP, to increase focus schools, the integration of arts into math, science and technology, because that's the other trend that, again, as a country, we have to begin to look at much more strongly. Because in the world, successful industries are industries which also are able to integrate arts. So if you produce best cars but they are ugly, the young people won't buy them. So there's the importance of integrating your arts into your science and technology. If you can bring ugly chandeliers, it doesn't matter how good they are, but the aesthetic look of even your technical and your vocational matters. And that's what is very important. And that's why, again, our partners with international countries point out, France will tell you that the most important industries that they have are industries which also are artistic. So it's very important to make sure that STEM also, or STEM, becomes STEM. And it also says what are the things that we do. One of the areas we also discussed at length was inclusive education, because it's one area where we've not been doing there's still major challenges around the areas of inclusive education. We still have huge backlogs. There are still children who have no access, who don't get access to education, who have special needs in education. For the first time as a sector, government from this year has given us a special fund for children with profound disabilities, your autistic kids, your kids who really have profound disabilities, who really as a sector have not been able to accommodate, and we'll be doing lots of work. We had a very interesting discussion on decolonization of education, which reminded some of us, the old education activists, of people's education for people's power, to say what does this decolonization mean? And it was a very interesting discussion that we felt from the Fees Must Fall movement has really reactivated the discussion about how we indigenize our own education system, our knowledge systems, and integrate them into the system. One of the key discussions was around initial teacher training, because we can talk about everything else. As long as our teachers don't have the skills to impart that which we want to do, we know we're dead in the water. So we spend lots of time on teacher development, initial training, but also teacher development. We reflected on life orientation, especially because of the difficulties and challenges that we're meeting in the changing world. We acknowledge that as a sector we are confronted with very hard problems around soft skills, character integrity, drugs, teenage pregnancy, moral decadence. And those are the areas that we had to say where in the school, in the system, are we able to deal with matters that, as I say, with soft skills which tend to negatively impact on the hard skills that we're teaching. We did focus on languages. We focused also on, as I say, your focus schools, like your maritime schools, your business and commerce schools, your services, to reflect on the practical work. We did focus on maths and culture, as I said, so that we can be able to convert or to strengthen STEM teaching, because the trend now is that it's becoming STEAM more than STEM. We did focus on, as I say, social sciences, especially the whole request or demand that has been coming about promoting local history. I'm expecting the first report on history teaching in our schools. I'm told it's the end of this month. We'll again be informing you what the ministerial task team is saying about the teaching of history in schools. Again, as I said, we also reflected on exams and assessments, because again, from those tests, it's quite clear the assessment tools that we also use with ongoing assessment in systems does not help us to develop the cognitive skills of our children adequately. That's why even if they can read, they don't read with understanding, which most people, again, who are outside the sector seem not to appreciate well. That our kids can read, you can give them any paragraph, they can read with confidence. But the issue is that they don't read with meaning. So if you start asking them high-level questions, they don't know what you're talking about. I made an example at the Khota that you can ask any of our kids to say they must read the paragraph. They'll tell you that John is crying, and they'll read it quite well as crying. Then when you say why John is crying, they won't apply that knowledge that they know. They'll say, I don't know. And what is expected of them is that to apply that people cry because they're upset, and that's what the test. So when you say they don't read with meaning, they can't apply the knowledge or what they've read. They can't interpret or use their own previous knowledge to interpret the questions. So we also had to look at what causes that, actually, that our children, though they can read fluently, but they can't read with meaning. So we looked at the assessment tools that we use in the classrooms on an ongoing basis, but also interrogated through with Umalusi, the very assessment tools that we use at the higher phase. I've reflected that we also spend a lot of time on social cohesion. We also looked at the current and future competencies in the curriculum, because again, as I said, we did receive a report on education in the changing world. So to also assess our curriculum, if indeed our curriculum is preparing our kids adequately for the fourth revolution, is preparing them adequately for a changing world, or we're still teaching things that don't take them fair in life. So I did say that in our visits, or also in our reports, we got lots of reports around, because the sticky area.
Indeed, there's the Minister of Basic Education just giving developments going forward for 2018 in the basic education sector for South Africa. But in one of our main stories this morning, the city's disaster management